Walthers HO scale union crane and shovel kit. First unboxing, you look in the kit and the parts count is pretty low, so it goes together pretty quickly. All the parts were flat, nothing was warped. I apologize for the low light. The lighting is just my magnifier with an LED light circle in it. Works pretty well when you're building, but I can see the light is a little low in the video. Started to assemble the model, and I taped the corners together to keep a nice tight fit. I used Tamiya liquid cement, which essentially melts the pieces together. I put some of the roofing pieces in place to keep it square while it's curing. After it cured, I used some Vallejo plastic putty. It's an acrylic putty. And one negative about the kit is there were quite a few gaps that needed to be filled. Just use red oxide primer for the base brick color. And I gave it a couple good coats where I got good coverage, but I didn't get a lot of buildup, so the detail is still pretty sharp. And these are the colors I'm going to use, and I also use blue to do the painting for the details. And I also mixed up several colors for bricks, and then I went in and hand painted individual bricks. I tried to make it random, but as humans we don't like random, but I gave it my best shot. And here's the scale for the bricks, so I needed a pretty fine tip brush to get in there and paint the individual bricks. It was a little tedious, but I had an audio book on and I'm just kind of zoning out and painting bricks. I used Robert's brick mortar to highlight the mortar joints between the bricks. You simply just brush it on and then allow it to dry. Then after it's dry, I came back with a small foam pad that was wet, and I rubbed the face of the bricks and got a lot of the mortar off, and I had to continue to do that several times until I got the mortar off to the point where I wanted it. I used paper bandage tape to simulate rolls of roofing material. I cut the tape in 14 millimeters by 120 millimeter strips to simulate what scales up to be a 3 foot by 25 foot roll. Painted it black, and one issue I had after painting the bandage material is with all the paint in there, it would shrink and it would pull the tape apart. So I'm not totally happy with this effect, and something I might want to work on in the future to try to get it to look more realistic. Mixed up the acrylic paint to get a color I wanted for the windows and the doors. Just thinned the paint down and used a brush to paint everything. And also mixed up some paint to paint the floor of the building so it looks something like concrete. Cut a piece of Atlas Code 83 Flex Track to install in the building. And it slides into the slots there where the track goes. And I used some CA to glue it in, and I set a couple gauges in there to get the spacing right. I put a GP30 in the building to see how much room I had. You could probably get a 4-axle Jeep in there and probably a 50-foot box car. That's probably as big a piece of rolling stock or locomotive that'll fit. And I checked a high cube box car and it won't clear the door opening. Using the black acrylic paint and a piece of sponge, I stippled in some grease stains in the building. I cut the door sections free and placed them in an open position, and opening in I can use it as a little bit of a view block. And I also used the black acrylic paint to paint the back of the windows to create some blinds for the front. And for the back of the building, I just went ahead and blacked out all of the windows. So I'm thinking if I put some lighting in the building in the future, I don't want the back windows shining up against the backdrop. When installing the upper windows, I used some tape to put some compression on the windows to keep the joint tight so the glue would set up better. Then after that, I put the roofing sections in place. Test fit the locomotive again, and you can see the horns just clear the door opening. And I had to go back and mix up a little more paint, touch up the blue windows after gluing them into the building. I took some black acrylic paint with a brush, and I went around and kind of mopped the edges so it looked like the roofers used a mop when they put the roofing on. Again, using the paper bandage tape, cutting roofing strips, 14 millimeters by 120 millimeters, which comes out to be 3 feet by 25 foot in HO scale. I had 2 millimeters of overlap on the material. And there I have all the roofing material on the roof pieces. And the black vertical lines are where the material overlapped. And I went and took black acrylic paint and a toothpick and dabbed it on the overlapping joints. And the effect, I'm not totally happy with it. I probably want to go back and revisit that and see if I can make some improvements. I ordered some 3 millimeter grain of wheat LEDs off of eBay. I don't have them yet. But I used the flashlight to kind of see what it would look like in a nighttime situation with the lights on in the building. I think it looked pretty good. With the construction done, it was time to do a little bit of weathering and dirty the building up so it looks like a well-used industrial building. Alright, the Walthers Union Crane and Shovel Kit. It's a pretty nice kit. It went together really well. The only downside to the kit is there's quite a few gaps that had to be filled. That's not really a big deal. The builder screwed up in a few spots. He put the roof section with the chimney in the wrong side. And for some crazy reason, I put 2 of the doors in wrong. So I put the doors in from the outside. All the doors should be, installed from the inside. I have no idea what possessed me to do that, but it's okay. So it's a good kit. I recommend it.